Climate change is affecting people in other countries in very different ways. I think it's really important that we are aware of that, and I think we can't just think locally, because we're only just seeing some extremes of weather and some extremes of floods and temperatures and everything in this country, whereas people have been experiencing that and more in various locations for decades and maybe even centuries. And if we're talking in the broadest sense of climate change, environmental change, land change, then we in the previous talk we just talked about the effect of empire and colonialism in terms of changing the land from being farmed by in harmony, I suppose, with the earth to getting people off the land, fencing people off, and so that is a real change that we saw across the world, across the British Empire, across European empires, to really divorce people from the land and to get them into factories and into polluting ways of being.
Yeah, and I think I can't remember what ecocide. Ecocide, you said, and I think there is ecocide in terms of other countries. So we have climate affecting people, for example, here in terms of flooding and things like that, but we have people dying, we have livestock dying, we've seen the famine and the drought in other countries, but like I say, people being forced to move because they've got nothing else to live on. So I think in terms of how it's affecting, it's depending on how much wealth you have as a community or as a country, it's affecting the poorer countries worse. And because they have more resources, countries like here have more resources to deal with, like we saw what happened in Derbyshire and places like that. So I think it's just recognizing there is multiple deaths in places where they have nothing or haven't got anywhere near the resources to deal with climate changes as we have here. And like I spoke about being in Brazil over the weekend, and when you hear what they were talking about and the tears that were coming out of their eyes as it giving testimony after testimony of the land is part of them, they're one with the land, they're not separate from, and how that is impacting when they can see the trees burning, they can see the people coming in, the corporations are coming in to do the mining and everything else. For them, witnessing that is kind of damages trauma on another level that we perhaps other places will not even be able to understand.
And I suppose one of the key examples is comparing, how countries like Denmark, like Holland and the Netherlands deal with floods, as opposed to, the poorest country in the northern hemisphere is Haiti, and how, Haiti's got almost like a charitable industrial complex of so many people preying on the poverty there, which is a manufactured poverty. That this country had to pay reparations to France for their freedom, and so whereas Haiti will be wiped out and much of the Caribbean will be wiped out by flooding if there's any sea level rise and any even moderate sea level rise. And places like Holland are able to spend billions of pounds on huge infrastructure, and we have to look at where that money came from. And Holland is implicated in the transatlantic traffic of enslaved Africans as well, and a lot of the wealth has been stolen from these countries, which are now suffering the most, is being used to mitigate the climate change effects.